Hi there, this is Solitary Ronan from Solitary Ronan Films, and welcome to another episode of One Director, Four Films. This episode might just be for me, I don't know, but it's John Sayles, one of my favourite directors of all time. For me, one of the most underrated directors of all time, and for me, the best American writer-director of the last 40 years. But again, that's just an opinion, not fact. So again, a fundamental film, a favourite film, an underseen gem, and the flounder, the film that doesn't quite work for me. But again, as I almost dropped the microphone and camera, this series is about you and your comments and your choices. So I would like to see your John Sayles selections. Now, as I say, I probably love John Sayles more than other people do. People might think, oh, he doesn't belong with the group of filmmakers I've discussed at the moment. But I don't really care. I'm going for it anyway. So the fundamental John Sayles film, I'm just going to go with probably his most famous, and certainly it's the only one that's in Criterion. And this was a recent edition, 1987's Matewan, which has pretty much all of the John Sayles traits, great ensemble cast, wonderful editing, writing, photography, a political message, which again might be one of the reasons why Sayles isn't that popular, because there will be people who don't like his politics. Another little slice of American history that wasn't really talked about. Just an absolutely beautiful film. I've talked about this so many times in the channel, and I've just mentioned it again. Now, obviously, for favourite John Sayles films, as somebody once said, your favourite John Sayles film is the one you just watched last. And again, for this choice, I could probably name about 12, but I'm not going to, because that would be cheating. I'm only going to name one, and it's Passion Fish from 1993, with Mary McDonnell and Alfred Woodward and David Strathairn. Again, one of those Sayles films that the description, the synopsis, sounds awful. Soap opera actress gets paralysed in an accident, goes back to her old home in Louisiana and goes through a bunch of home help until she meets Alfred Woodward, who has her own baggage. Sounds terrible, doesn't it? But it's absolutely wonderful. So 130 minutes, should have been 10 hours long, because one of Sayles' great gifts is his ability to write for anybody in any walk of life, and creating characters that you want to spend a long period of time with. We'll get to the flounder and why that sticks out as an example of when it doesn't work. But Passion Fish is absolutely beautiful. Again, written, directed, edited by Sayles. Music by Mason Daring, who is a frequent collaborator ever since Matewan. And it's just a sensational film, but again, on paper, doesn't sound that good until you actually watch it. So, the underrated gem, again, because Sayles is so underrated, I could literally mention every film that's not Matewan, probably. But again, I'm only going to choose one. So I'm going to choose Men with Guns, which is his response to getting an Academy Award nomination for the script of Lone Star. So what does he do after that? He makes a film set in Central America, all in non-English, about a doctor Dr. Fuentes, brilliantly played by Federico Lippi. And he goes into the country trying to find all his student doctors that he sent out. And as he goes deeper into the countryside, he realises they've all been killed. And again, he comes from a privileged place in society. I mean, we're introduced to him and he literally has a finger up the ass of one of the generals. Obviously doing a medical examination, not just for pleasure. And he is kind of blind to what's going on in the country, but as he follows on this road movie, meeting all these different characters, he becomes more and more aware of what's actually going on in his own country. Again, it's another absolutely beautiful film, beautiful script, so underrated, and like 99% or 98% of John Sayles films really should be in Blu-ray, but will probably never happen because these films just aren't popular enough. That's Men with Guns from 1997, another Sayles masterpiece in my opinion, but again, my opinion is not fact. So we'll come to The Flounder, and again, for me, perhaps Sayles hasn't made a great film since 2002's Sunshine State, but he's made some really good, solid films after that. Sadly, hasn't made a film since 2014, Go for Sisters, which is a wonderful little film with Edward James Olmos. But to me, this is a film that you don't actually want to spend an extra 3 hours with the characters. It's 2004 Silver City. Now, part of that might be deliberate on Sayles' point, because it is a film about politics. So perhaps there's a reason why you don't want to spend more time with these characters, because most of them are fairly unpleasant characters. But as usual, it's got an amazing cast, because again, Sayles can't pay people $10 million to appear in his film or anything. But it's Maria Bello, Thora Birch, David Clennon, Chris Cooper, Richard Dreyfuss, Miguel Ferrer, James Gannon, Daryl Hannah, Danny Houston, Chris Christopherson, Michael Murphy, Tim Roth, Ralph Waite, Billy Zane. I mean, he manages to get pretty impressive casts. Again, like I say, he can't afford to pay people lots of money to be in his films, but they pretty much turn up for a day, do their shooting and leave, because they know Sayles actually stands for something as far as his writing. But again, for me, this film doesn't quite work. Chris Cooper stars as a bit of a dim candidate. There's a murder plot, a corpse is found. There's maybe too many strands, too many things going on in the film, so it's not really as focused as perhaps some of these other films that do have multiple characters and multiple stories, but these ones aren't as interesting, and again, the characters aren't as engaging. But again, is it a bad film? It's not a bad film. For me, it's still like a 3 out of 5, but obviously, for me at least, Sayles has a pretty high bar, and Silver City kind of falls under that quite substantially, for me at least. But again, that's just my opinion. My opinion is not fact. So that's my 4 choices for John Sayles. Yes, I'm biased. Please leave comments below what your picks are for John Sayles. So thanks very much for watching. Hopefully you'll join me again for more of these episodes, because there will be more, whether you like it or not. This is Solid Your Own from Solid Your Own Films, saying farewell.